We are now just 133 days away from the official release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film, at the end of the day, is going to be a very emotional film with a lot of action-packed sequences into the mix, as well as, of course, J.J. Abrams really trying to mark this film down as the best of the sequel trilogy, which really is going to be a very hard task because it's really going to have to resonate with fans, and it's going to have the right amount of nostalgia that's really going to work a lot for the Star Wars fans around the world. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the plans by Disney, Lucasfilm, JJ, and crew, this is where things begin to get rather unfortunate for the character of Luke, portrayed by Mark Hamill. Now, specifically, it's described that during the rewrites of the film, during the months of November and December of 2018, is when George Lucas was significantly involved with the rewriting of the second and third acts of the film, where it's described and explained that George had written in a special moment for Luke that was ultimately cancelled and scrapped in early 2019 that would have been very emotional and very magical. It's described that one of the scenes that were partially filmed and developed involved Luke Skywalker on the world of Ahch-To, where it said that he would be visited by the Wills themselves in front of the first Jedi Temple. It said that the scene would involve Luke meditating on a boulder, where in front of Luke would be 6 of the Wills, who are godlike beings, levitating in front of a beautiful sunset on Ahch-To in front of Luke Skywalker, where he opens his eyes in surprise of witnessing the Wills in the form of a flashback. The scene was later cancelled and reduced to a moment where it would be referenced that Luke heard the voices of the Wills at one point in time during his time on the island. Mark Hamill was said to have done a total of 6 takes for the scene, where the CGI of the Wills were never completed, and are said to be saved for either the Blu-ray or 4K version of the film in April 2020. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we do know that Episode 9 is going to introduce new different mediums of the Star Wars franchise, one of which being, of course, the Wills. And this scene would have been by far the best moment for the character of Skywalker on Ahch-To, witnessing the Wills themselves, these godlike beings that watch over the entire universe and the galaxy as we know it in the Star Wars franchise. In fact, in case you guys did not know, the Wills are actually said to have been created, or actually said to have created the galaxy itself many years ago, well before the events of the Phantom Menace, and even well before the events of the Old Republic and the ancient Jedi and Sith. I mean, it dates back thousands upon thousands of years. So, what's really intriguing about this is that this was said to all take place on the world of Ahch-To, and was even partially filmed between Mark Hamill in front of a green screen, meditating on a large boulder on the world of Ahch-To, looking into a beautiful sunset where his eyes are closed and they eventually open, where he eventually witnesses all 6 of the Wills levitating in front of Luke Skywalker. Now, like I say, this fits directly in line with the line of dialogue that we heard in the Last Jedi teaser trailer that never made it to the final cut of that movie, where Luke is speaking to Rey and he says, "It's so much bigger." What was so much bigger? Now it seems to make sense, because this particular moment was said to be used in the form of a flashback. The Wills themselves are actually said to be very much, important characters in the Star Wars franchise that George Lucas created decades ago, that are now going to be inserted into the film in multiple different ways. However, this particular scene between both Mark Hamill and the Wills were ultimately cancelled, and like I say, reduced to a moment where it's only going to be referenced that Luke actually had heard the voices of the Wills at one point in time, as opposed to witnessing them visually in front of course, the large sunset on Ahch-To while he was meditating. Now, we do know that Episode 9 is going to be very Force lore heavy, and a lot of Jedi and Sith lore is also going to be involved in Episode 9, in order to give us a better Star Wars movie, a more authentic Star Wars film, I must add, that's really going to be more in tune with the mythology of Star Wars, as opposed to it just being a war for the Resistance going up against the First Order. We're going to have a lot of Jedi, Sith, and Force-related content, which I think is great and very much needed at this point in time in the sequel trilogy, just as the trio, Rey, Poe, and Finn getting together on a mission, is very much needed as well. That is also going to be a part of Episode 9. So, on top of all of this, Mark Hamill, in my opinion, great actor. You know, he really just deserves to have the greatest moments of all time in The Rise of Skywalker. This, by far, would have really topped the list. I'm not gonna lie. It really would have topped the list there of Luke witnessing these godlike beings that control the entire universe and created the galaxy and know the origins of the galaxy, and are literally these beings that actually are the ones to determine certain one's destinies in, of course, the Skywalker saga timeline. And I think that's a huge thing that J.J. Abrams could have explored with the help of George Lucas, and why it was ultimately canceled, we're not quite sure. I'm sure we will find out in the coming months. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.